Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to New York State Music in Motion here, where we interview New York State artists. We are back for season 3. Thanks very much. I'm your host, Frank Palangi, and we're going to get rocking.
This season, we are sponsored by the Helpin' Friendly Salve, an all-natural herbal extract. You can check them out at thehelpinfriendlysalve.com.
Provides live music fans with a way to meet and support the latest upcoming artists in the Fish, Grateful Dead, Disco Biscuits, Twiddle, and Goose scenes.
What's up, everybody? Today we got Dan Smalls here, a concert promoter from Ithaca, New York. What's going on, Dan? How you doing?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Pretty good. It's getting a little colder here in New York, as you know, and I'm a fan of the warmer weather, for sure.
This is my favorite season, usually because we're so busy with tons and tons of shows, and not that we aren't, but it's a little different this year. So a little more time in the outdoors is certainly afoot.
I agree. That was actually one of my questions. We'll lead into that with the whole COVID thing and booking. But how many years have you been doing this?
Well, I did my first show in my first year at Cornell when I was 18. So I've been 33 years now.
Wow. Long time. So you must love it. You live and breathe it?
I do. You know, I got a couple of year break at one point when things were ugly. I mean, but music's been in my soul in a lot of ways. I was never gifted enough to be a performer. And the business has always come, kind of secondhand to me. And we treat acts pretty special in a lot of ways. And I think that our reputation has grown from that. I've learned from some wonderful people over the years, from Bill Graham to Dave Werlin to all John Peterson at the Haunt when I was in college. So I've been all over the map. I've met a million people. It's been great. And look, I'm still doing it, and I have no desire to stop anytime soon. I'm as humbled as anybody by what's happened with DSP shows over the years. I started the company on my own in 2008, and so we're 13 years in, and we went from, I think, 62 shows the first year to over 900 in 2019, all from Buffalo to Western Mass.
Wow.
So it's been very humbling, but the growth has been wonderful, and we're pretty happy about it.
Is there certain areas that are busy, as far as New York and Massachusetts? Do you have a busier area?
No, I mean, I think our markets are very similar in many ways. Our two biggest clearly are Ithaca and Northampton, Massachusetts. My partner, John Sanders, who came on board with me in 2014, has booked that market for many, many years. So we were very symbiotic. They're college-based towns, educated populations, and then everything in between. So we've been lucky. We fit really well together. We've built a great team, and I'm pretty good at the organizational side, and he's I'm not afraid to say he's a better booking agent than me. So we're a great fit. I mean, not that I wasn't holding my own, but he does a lot more shows than I do these days, and that's okay. Our team is up to 7 or 8 people. So
let's talk about your team. Who else you got on your staff? Let's give them a shout out.
Yeah, so we brought on another talent buyer recently, coming out of the pandemic in May. Hannah Gold joined us. She was booking City Winery in New York for many years. She's been a huge addition for us. She's taken over some of the Western New York stuff and Daryl's house and a few other spots.
Yeah.
Growing as we expand. Chris Mazur has been with me the longest. He's like our jack of all trades, sort of, handles everything from tickets to artwork to building the venues outside. He's a
Does he make the concert flyers? I was gonna say they're really good.
He does, yeah. Okay. He's really come into his own. They're great. So he's been great. Jen, of course, is our marketing director. She's based in Connecticut but handles a lot of our shows in Western Mass. Who am I missing? Matt Palmieri came on. He's our head of production, and we've got Renee, our intern, has been with us. She's been with us a couple of years, and 3 or 4 other interns come each semester. I'm sure I forgot somebody, but our core is 6 strong, and we go from there.
You always need the interns. You know what I mean? You got to branch out.
Yeah, well, there's a great MBA program at Ithaca College. That's been wonderful pipeline for us, and even the undergrad situation. So we've been pretty lucky. I like our town for that aspect. And Renee was with us all summer. She was Chris's right arm, helped set up shows. The 2 of them ran shows without me many times. So may just wind up part of our team. We'll see where it goes. But
there you go. How do you For people that don't know out there, because this audience, mostly we've had musicians on here. You're the first concert promoter. There was one other guy, he's a musician and a promoter, but not as, I think, full time. And how do you become a promoter? You know, is it like something that you always want to do? And then,
Oh yeah, like I always say, when I was born, my parents dropped me and I landed on my head at some point because that's what it takes to do this. But no, it's like I tell people all the time, we gamble for your enjoyment, I guess is how we look at it. You know, I'm a
yeah,
guy who loves to play cards, but I never go in a casino. It just doesn't feel right for some reason, and that's my choice. However, I gamble for a living. You know, but we're
'cause you
doing it
don't
with
know.
house money. You know,
Yeah,
we've got a lot of experience. We know our markets. We know what price people are willing to pay. So, you know, look, there's a lot of ways to look at it. We've been called everything from capitalist, you know, mongers to whatever. And look, to each their own. I think
hmm,
we've established ourselves as a company that takes care of the artist, takes care of the fan, tries to keep the prices as low as we can, don't jack up service fees and all the things that can be done. You know, when we can fight for it, we will. And
yeah,
I think that reputation speaks for itself. And the way it speaks for itself the most is that, like in the past, we'd get a call that Modest Mouse is coming to the Northeast, send me avails for Ithaca, blah, blah, blah. And now it's Modest Mouse is coming to the Northeast in October. Where do you want to do it? And we don't just do one show anymore. We do 7 shows on that tour. And I think it's because we've proven to managers and bands and made friends with these folks over the years that that's the relationship is more important than anything else. And they can trust us to do the right thing for them and make sure that their experience is better than anyone else. Look, I'm not New
yeah,
York City. I'm not Boston, Denver,
yeah,
Chicago. I'm not a major market, right?
yeah,
No
yeah.
band has to play Ithaca, New York or Northampton, Massachusetts. But my job is to make it incredibly easy for the manager, the agent, and the band to say, we will play there. And if we
Okay.
make it that easy, why go anywhere else? You know?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean,
That's
Cooperstown,
crazy.
New York is not on everybody's touring roster, except when Jack White wants to play baseball at Doubleday Field. Other than that, it's not a top choice
What?
market. Nothing against it.
I would think some artists that maybe always play the city stuff, so they like a little something different every once in a while too.
Oh,
You know what I
100%.
mean? And
100%.
so is it something necessarily that you have to go to college for, would you say? Or I mean, I know people do it on their own, but to get to a certain level to understand, you know, the business part of it.
I mean, look, I always encourage people to learn as much as possible and to not be in a rush to
Yeah.
get here. You know, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
tell you the number of young interns I brought on early on who, after a few weeks and learned a few agents' names, thought they could do it themselves and would, you know, start calling agents, not knowing I've been friends with that agent for 20 years and they're going to call me and say, who is this calling me all of a sudden, you know? Um, no, you don't have to. Does it help? Sure. I mean, I started in engineering. I was valedictorian in my high school. I don't really talk about that much, but I
Okay.
went from a 4.0 average to a 1.7 in my first semester at school because I was having too much fun.
Okay.
And engineering was just where I was steered. It wasn't a goal. So I wound up getting a degree in business management and marketing. And has it helped? Sure. I mean, math is crucial to this, and organization is crucial.
Yeah.
And no one learned that more than I did through the last 18 months of this crisis we've all faced as a country. You know, I saved for 10 years to build a nest egg that could cover how we do shows. Like for instance, we could do 3 Bob Dylan shows in a week and be waiting 2-3 weeks for the venues to send us the money, but Bob gets paid on each night of show. So I've had to build a bankroll big
Yes.
enough to cover that because I hate living off of the float and the debt and paying to use other people's money. So for 10 years, I put us in a position where our finances were very strong, and that helped us through the last years. And certainly the Shuttered Venues Act helped us get back to where we were
Yeah.
before all the money we
Yeah.
lost over the last year, you know?
I was
So
gonna say
yeah, it's
that
really
must be
important.
hard.
It's been a hard time. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
other way to put it, you know? This summer felt almost normal for a little bit while everybody was thinking that we were done. I don't know that I was, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
So
a shame we are where we are.
obviously, ticket prices before this probably were a lot higher than they are now. Would you say?
I haven't seen much change. I
No.
haven't, to be honest with you.
Okay.
You know, I think that a lot of people got very complacent over the last 18 months. And look, getting over this for a lot of people is going to be really hard. Like right now, we're seeing, sales either be 100% sold out, slam dunks, or, losing money hand over fist because they're just not that excited to see a show. However, even the shows that are sold out, we're seeing, attendance rates of 65, 70, 75%, nothing approaching. And people are like leaving the money with the artist because they care to some respect,
Yeah.
and
People
that's
probably buy
lovely of
tickets
them.
too just to support and not show up, that sort of thing too.
Yeah, it's hard to watch and it's different, but it is what
Yeah.
it is at this point. I hope we're going to come to the end of this at some point, and people will smarten up. But
Yeah. Because people have been
I've done
waiting
my
for a
part.
while too. So you might think that, I haven't seen a show in a year and a half. I know it's a little higher price or something, but it's we want to support this or we really want to see them, that sort of thing.
Totally.
So I think there's a lot of people getting far right as far as like getting away with murder on that end on some of the artists I've seen with the VIPs.
I mean,
and stuff.
I'm not afraid to tell you they had a grand reopening for the State Theater a week before the first show, and it's the first time I sat in a theater for half an hour, wearing a mask and watching a local band play and listening to some speeches, and it was awkward at first. It takes some getting used to. I mean, how this was handled by our country, it was terrible for the most part, and it was a culture of fear more than understanding because it was something new and it's never gotten any better. So I understand why it's that way. And look, I have a 13-year-old son. I wanted to put his well-being in front of everything else, so it's been different. I don't envy young people. They're going through it in much harder ways than we are, but they're also the ones who are the first ones coming back to shows too. So
it's a thing where it's hard to explain. It's still an unknown. You know what I mean? Too, we don't really know. It'll either get really better or it's maybe gonna stay the same. That's what I think.
It has to get better than it's been. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. It's like we've decided we're not going back as a country, so we're just gonna. We erred on the side of caution from day one with this whole pandemic, and I'd rather talk about other stuff because we've talked about this enough. But we had a sold out OAR show at the State Theater on March 11th, and it's 3 or 4 days before everything shut down. Mm-hmm. And we called the manager and we're like, "Look, we don't want to be a part of the problem. We don't know what this is. Let's just postpone now."
Okay.
And some other people might have said, "Screw it, let's play the show. It's $5,000 in my pocket."
Yeah.
And I wasn't one of them, and I haven't been since, and I don't plan to be anytime soon. Let's take public safety and health first, and then we work on it from there. And I've led by example. I still wear a mask everywhere I go outside, just because I'm asking people to do that in my venue. So why shouldn't I lead by example?
Yeah,
no, I walked around.
Great.
I walked around outside all summer the same way, saying, "Hey, I don't know, but I'll lead by example."
Yeah, and nobody knows who you are when you walk around with a mask. You know what I mean?
And nobody knows who I am most of the time anyway, which is just fine.
Like, I know that guy. That was the booking guy. I ran into him.
Yeah.
So what styles go better in different markets? Let's talk about that, because I know that's the thing with booking. Like, do you stay away from certain styles, and do you book non-music shows too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of, we'll look at anything. I mean, we'll look at anything in any market and do the research. We don't do a lot of harder stuff. I don't know why. It hasn't worked in Ithaca or Northampton as much. Now that we have the club in Northampton, we're doing a little bit more. We did some, shows with bands like Against Me and, things like that. So, it's having the right venues for it. I mean, you're not going to do a hardcore band at the State Theater in Ithaca. We've done the Avett Brothers and the National there. We've done big rock bands, but it's not conducive to that,
Audience.
When the Haunt comes back eventually, we're working on that. We'll be able to round out the things there. But yeah, like you said, across the board, we have David Sedaris here doing a reading last weekend. We've got tons of comedy. We've done some theatrical stuff. We're all over the map, but it has to make sense. And sometimes we make a mistake and it doesn't sell well, but we're right about 85% of the time, and that's pretty good basis to start from. And look, nothing's off the table, but there's certain things that our mailing list is really good at, the Americana stuff and the older crowd. But it continues to grow, and we're in college markets. So we're, and we've got a sold out Big Thief show tonight in Northampton, so it's all over the map.
What, because I know it's the Fish poster there in the background. Who's your
Oh,
favorite bands to listen to? And do you
that
like?
was the first theater show I did with Fish in 1991. It was,
Okay.
you can't really see it, but if you look closely, their promo picture was stockings over their faces, and it was one
Okay.
of the coolest pictures ever. So they're just like scrunched down like that. But
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to pick favorites. I can look at shows that really mattered, like spending a week with the National in Ithaca when they rehearsed was a memory I won't ever forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Booking the Avett Brothers 25 times as they came up from not tuning their instruments to playing to 15,000 people over 2 days at home again.
Yeah.
Cayuga Sound was a huge thing for me. And these are just the things I've done on my own. When I was younger, we did the first, I worked for Great Northeast when we did the first 5 or 6 fish camping festivals, and we had 100,000 people in Florida, or, just crazy amounts of things. Like we take a band in Air Force Base in northern Maine and turn it into a concert venue for 65,000 people. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been very lucky. And I mean, look, my first real gig outside of working in Ithaca was in 91. Through knowing all the jam bands, I helped a summer concert series that became the precursor to the Horde tour, which was the Blues Traveler, sort of came together with Lenny Kravitz and bands like that and toured. It was like a traveling Lollapalooza for jam bands, but it was in the Catskills where I grew up, and Bill Graham, the famous promoter, was a part of it. His son was running it, and he was a legend where I grew up. He was, Fillmore East and West, lived in San Francisco all his, his adult life, but he was a larger than life promoter, and grew up in the Catskills when he came over to avoid the Second World War, and was in Brooklyn and spent his summers right in my hometown. So it was pretty cool to start there and then grow from that.
Yeah. Well, it's good that somebody gave you a chance to learn from.
I mean, look, if he
not
didn't
everybody does that.
tragically, if he didn't die in a helicopter crash, tragedy, I probably would be in San Francisco right now running his, high up his company. That's where I was headed. But when that happened, that job didn't happen for me, and I started over right here in Ithaca. So
yeah. So let's go to smaller indie bands and stuff in the area. What would you say as far as like if somebody came up and be like, let's say I want to book my own show, or I want to open up for a show that you're having. What would you say to them, or advice? Or I guess what I'm getting at is what gets a band booked, just for people out there in general.
I mean, there's a lot of things there. We don't get as many opportunities to add support as you'd think. At least we didn't the days gone by. Most bands either have, the manager has a second band they're sending out with them, or the agent has a younger band they're sending out. So the opportunities aren't as many as you think. You've got to be able to bring some people out, or at least have a sound that, even if 6 people see you, the next time 12 people come, and the next time 40 people come, because it's that catchy, right? I can't tell you what the formula is. I never, you can usually feel it when you see it happening. There's an energy, there's a vibe about it. We try to put as many, local bands on shows as we can. And when we did the festival with Ex Ambassadors, we made sure to have 3 or 4 or 5 local bands on this national, multinational festival. And I think that was important, and we let the band choose. We put the ones we thought had the most potential, or, had not necessarily how they drew, but more that fit with the style. So, it's just, you got to grind it out, and you got to play as much as you can without playing too much. And that's the biggest issue I see with bands. You want to play and learn and grow your thing, but when you play every Tuesday in Ithaca at a winery, and then you're playing at a brewery on a weekend, you're playing here, there's too many opportunities to see you. There's just too many. So it's easy for me as Joe Smith sitting at home saying, hey, let's go see the Dodos tonight. And I'm like, I don't know. They're playing next Wednesday in town. That's easier for me. You don't make it an event. You don't make it special. Some of my advice for the better performing local bands in Ithaca over the years was to play less and make a big deal out of each one. And they would, and their numbers would go up, and they'd make more in one show than they would in 5 shows. And they grow from there, and then start touring regionally because of it, because it was a big deal when you could sell out the haunt 400 tickets. Or 500
it's
tickets.
A bigger deal if 'cause I think I noticed you booked David Cook. Let's say like, you got this guy opening for David Cook, and say that was the only gig he did that month, it's like you said, it's a bigger thing. You can push it. So as a promoter, probably look at it and say that's good for booking because that's your only show.
That's one side of it. And the other is
Yeah.
I'm booking you because my show is marginal and I need you to bring 50 people to help me not lose money and put you in front of the 200 people who might come see this other act, which are just a little less than we need to break even on the show. You know, I book many shows on the club level that I know are going to lose money.
Well, you book
and people
bands
say, "How is that business?" You know,
it's bands that don't really have a draw, but you like.
Well, because you want to have the first play, and you think they're going to grow, or the agent is gung ho about. I mean, there's a million reasons to book a show that isn't going to make sense.
Yeah, it's not a science, right? Kind of is, but really isn't.
I mean, in my brain, it feels like one, but I don't know if everybody has that ability. You know, it has its moments for sure. It gets frustrating.
You don't play any instruments? Have you ever tried to take lessons like guitar?
No, yeah. I mean, I took piano lessons growing up. I look around the room. There's a guitar in the corner and there's a keyboard in here. But you know, but I don't play very much. And I was more a comic relief when I would play out.
Okay.
More than anything else. We had a gong show once at the Haunt when I was in college that I ran. And
played that.
I think I played a cover of Dennis Leary singing songs or something that were more comedy than anything else. But
a lot of people go, I played a triangle. I was like, oh, that's great.
Play it well. You can get a
instrument. It's actually in an orchestra. There's a triangle guy.
There is.
That's all he does. And I go, I wonder what that guy makes.
Depends on the orchestra, I guess.
Yeah. Even drums and stuff. Sometimes they don't actually play a lot, like the guys with the big drums.
Yeah.
With the orchestra. But so is it more of a patience thing with instrument, or is it just kind of like not as much interest?
No, I think I always had the interest. I couldn't get from here to here, you know.
Okay.
It's I could play the 3-chord jams and you know, I played in some noise bands and stuff, but
self-taught or YouTube videos, that kind of stuff. Or
I mean, I was managing bands when I was in college, so I had people helping me out there. There was no such thing as YouTube in those days.
I remember those. Yeah. I was a little younger than that, but I do remember. I remember when YouTube came up in like 2004, and I go, we can upload stuff to this now, like that sort of thing. And they're like, what are you talking about? No one's ever gonna watch these videos on YouTube.
Right.
But little did they know. But what would you say about oversaturation with the market as far as YouTube and all that kind of stuff? Like, it's I feel like it's so much. Everyone's like, oh, you can be discovered. You know, it'll help with shows and all that. But it's really, really hard not to pay for promotion, you know, on YouTube or something to get your video shown now. You know, if you upload it naturally, that sort of thing.
I mean, it's a part of it. I'm not 100% sure about how it works. I think that, you know, the ability to connect with fans is how you grow more than anything else. And I think that certain acts use that very well to continuously put content out there that's engaging and informational and new and fresh. So I think that, and we learned that a lot over the last year and a half for sure.
Yeah.
But again, from my perspective, it makes sense. It's nice to have a new album or something coming out when we're doing a show. It means there's going to be some press from management or push in a direction, you know, that's going to help us. Like every little bit of that's out there helps us sell some tickets. You know,
who you got coming up for let's say November, December, January? Just name some stuff.
Well, I mean, it's.
I've seen
forgive me for having to open a spreadsheet and look,
okay.
But I mean, there's so many shows right now that
this guy, folks, has booked a lot.
I wish I was in Massachusetts more because the club there, we've got a ton of great shows in the club. I mean, tonight, Big Thief and Alex G outside at the Pines is our last outdoor show of the year. You know, here in Ithaca, we have a really cool co-bill with Gregory Allen Isakoff and Patty Griffin. City and Colors coming back to make up their date in October. You know, it's across the board. Little Feet is playing in November, which is they've been around forever. Mountjoy, Shaky Graves in December. I mean, it's across the board. We've got some great shows in Buffalo. We're doing 3 or 4 dates with Iron and Wine and some small venues this fall that I'm excited about. You know, it's all over the place. And next summer we've got 5 or 6 shows confirmed already. The only one I think on sale is the Weekend with the Avett Brothers in Cooperstown, which we've postponed now for 2 years, but
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna have some fun with that
We'll
one.
see.
So yeah, it's across the board, but we'll be announcing summer shows sooner than later at Beacon Skiff, at Omegang, at the Pines, or outside Gateway in Northampton. So we're fully working towards next summer because it feels legit that we're going to be able to do a ton of shows. And then the spring, I mean, late winter into spring, there's probably 20 shows confirmed at the State Theater, some of which are on sale, more are about to be announced. So it's let's just hope we're turning a corner by then. I mean, before the pandemic, most touring acts were making over 85% of their money, I think, from that, the average act.
Yep.
So it's crucial, I mean, record sales were down, and merch happens at the show. So it was an incredibly big deal. Going forward, I imagine it's going to be the same. I can't see record labels suddenly wanting to reverse course, and not make all the money themselves.
Yeah, I think though there's something about selling the record, selling the music. It's kind of lost now, and like you said, everything's gone over to live shows and things. I think that's not the artist's fault, but I think it's something the labels have to look into. Is how do we get these sales back into the music? And then of course, you still always have live shows, but I've noticed that it's like it's so hard for bands. Are like we don't sell a lot anymore, but everyone comes to our shows.
Yeah.
So it has to do with CDs. You had records, you had cassettes and CD. Now there's really nothing. I mean, they still make vinyl, but there's nothing tangible anymore. And so what do you do?
I hark back to my 13-year-old son, who knows everything he plays for me is kind of cool in its own way, and I wonder where the hell he's finding it, because they're bands I've never heard of, they're hip hop stars I've barely heard of. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm 51 years old right now, but I mean, it's natural for that to change. I'm not saying what's that noise. I'm saying, well, that's kind of a cool beat. Who's that? And
yeah.
I mean, I have to have a staff of people younger than me too to figure this stuff out as well. It's not, you can't be the all-knowing hipster forever, nor that I ever think I was. I was just a guy who sort of knew how to book a band and share it with enough people to get them to come and see them. I never looked at this job as rocket science. It was just, how do I take care of these people properly, and then the rest will take care of itself. I never let money be a motivator. I don't plan on changing to that now. It was, money will take care of itself if you treat the act right and the fan right and do it better than anyone else. People will choose your shows over other people's shows.
Yeah.
Nothing against anybody else. I focus on what we do. And to this day, I could care less what anyone thinks. I've never gone out after any other people. I do good business. When things come to me, I make the right choice in the moment based on the information in front of me. I've never changed that. So
that's good. Not a lot of people talk like that, because I've talked with other promoters too, and sometimes it's very, very cut and dry, and it's just about that.
You're never going to see a $14 beer at a DSP show. I will find a new venue.
Good.
You know what I'm saying?
Or a $10 soda.
To each their own, not judge, not going to judge. I'm just going to do it my own way.
Yeah, there you go. It's what you got to do sometimes. You got to carve your own path, and that's how it works out. And I know this is kind of general question, but for normal people watching this who tune in all the time and stuff, how do you promote a show as a concert promoter, not from a band standpoint? Because they're curious on. I want to expose that a little bit.
No, but it's changed immensely over the years. I mean, back when I got started, we were running tons of radio ads, and the record label would buy an ad. And this is living in Boston, it was a different game.
Flyers up on the
sure. I mean, when I was in college, John Peterson had a first minivan. We were booking the Haunt, and he'd leave the side door open, and I just jump out and tack posters up the whole way up Buffalo Street, as the kids are walking to campus. Sure. But
nice.
our product, I hate to say that we have one, but as a company, we've got a wonderful mailing list now of, over 100,000, or I don't even know the number anymore. It's so big that's our biggest asset. We've built that by selling tons of tickets.
Digital.
And we send an email once a week. If you're on there, you can generally buy tickets a couple days before everyone else, which is never a bad thing to get the best seats in the theater. Or a show that's going to sell out right away. It's always nice. But we still do advertising on the radio in certain markets. We've gone on TV with things from time to time if it made sense. It really depends on the act and the market and what works. Like there's a great AAA radio station, The River in Western Mass, and we use them all the time. In Ithaca, we're trying to make one of those, but we do a lot more on public radio, with underwriting and stuff like that. So it really just depends on the show and the act, and we're not averse to anything really.
I used to see the TV ads. I used to see them. I used to see them a lot more, and I'm like, I don't know why they do that now, or they don't.
They're more for arena shows, I think, than anywhere else.
Yeah. Once in a while, you'll see like a small or festival thing or something going on,
the casinos. They do it old school too.
Yes, I think that's kind of cool. Do you book with any of those, the casinos?
We do not. Most of that's in house. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nothing against it. It's generally a little over, they'll overpay to put people in because they're not making their money off of the shows. They're making the money off of what people do while they're there to see the show, shall we say. So
exactly. So anybody out there, make sure you support here. We got Dan Smalls here. He's from Ithaca, New York. Are you in Ithaca now?
I'm based in Ithaca, yep.
Okay, based.
I've lived here since 2004.
So any shows in that area, and Northampton, Massachusetts, Buffalo?
Yeah, we still book Asbury and Buffalo. We've got Beacon Skiff Orchards in just south of Syracuse. We Omegang in summer. Center for the Arts in Homer, we book all the shows that play there. Darrell Hall's Club from Hall and Oates down in the Hudson Valley, we book that. But we do lots of one-offs too. We're in the Palace Theater from time to time. We're all over the place. But
I was going to mention, I heard that's a really good venue, Darrell Hall's place.
It started as a folk club back in the day, and when he bought it, he moved his TV show there.
Yeah,
so we record it, and it's got wonderful.
Into his house after then. You go to his house now. It's pretty cool.
He's still doing it. It depends where he wants to go back to the club, but it's small, 280, 290, 300 seats. Okay, a little bit more when it's standing, and we do shows in there 300 nights a year.
Wow,
pretty cool.
Very cool. So out there, everybody, keep supporting independent music here, any type of music, really, to keep all this going. Because if not, without music, I keep saying this, it'd be pretty boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I would do.
I don't know. You wouldn't listen to anything. You'd throw in, imagine like watching a movie and there's no music.
It would be odd. It would certainly be odd.
Yeah. It wouldn't. It's not the new thing, folks. Do not start that.
I'm certainly not looking to find another career unless it's like, I don't know, running Jeep tours in Costa Rica or something. I can't think of anything else that would be much fun,
Well, I appreciate you having on here. We got NYS Music in Motion going on. Maybe we can do an NYS show or something with you someday and do some stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Front. Be kind of cool.
Look, I'm open to anything. We'll happy to talk about whatever proposals come up.
All right. Well, we got all these guests, so we'll just get all the bands together that we've had for guests and see what we could do.
There you go.
That'd be cool.
There you go.
All right, man. I appreciate your time, and I'll let you know what goes on here. I appreciate it. Everybody tuning out there, make sure you check this out on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. It will be on there to watch as many times as you want. So definitely, if you know a band too out there, forward this to a band, because I know a lot of bands like to get behind the scenes on all this kind of stuff. Booking for me, it's I've only talked with a few people, so there's a little mystery there, and I like to keep getting some more information about it.
I mean, there's no surprises. It's just have a good product, know what you're doing, be professional, and treat people with respect, and you're going to get a lot further. I mean, it's a pretty simple gig.
All right, maybe I'll meet you at a show someday too. I haven't played out in a little while, but maybe I'll see you at something.
You got it, man. Happy to. And look, you can check out all our shows at dspshows.com. That's DSP, David Stephen Paul shows.com. And there's stuff every week. So join the mailing list, and we'll keep you in the know.
All right, guys. I'll see you later. Keep on rocking.
All right. See you.